Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Maria Golzavage podcast. I'm your host, Maria, and today we have a special guest. We have Cynthia Abulafia. Did I say that correctly?
Abulafia, yes.
Yes. And can you tell our listeners, because I'm always curious about people's last names, where's that from?
Abulafia is a Sephardic last name, which
Yeah.
are the people that lived in Spain, the Sephardic Jews, and they got kicked out of Spain in 1492 during the Inquisition.
Yeah.
They then went to Turkey for 500 years, and my dad left Turkey when he was about 35 in the 1970s and moved to the United States.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of history there. That is very cool. So, I'm going to read a little bit about your bio so people can get to know you. So, Cynthia is an author. So, actually, can you put up your new book that's coming out soon and just show our listeners and our viewers? And it is called Embodying the Goddess. So, today we're going to talk about that book. So, I'm super excited about that. So, Cynthia is an author, educator, and a yoga therapist committed to giving language to the divine feminine and restoring the experience of embodiment as the heart of the spiritual practice. A longtime student and teacher of non duality, she guides people through Kundalini awakenings and spiritual crises with grounded tools rooted in embodiment, breath, and the context of sacred texts and traditions. Her debut book, as you guys can see, it's going to be released in January. We are in January, so look for that. Do you have a release date yet or no? It's just
January
sometime
20th. Yes, yeah.
January 20th.
Mhm.
Okay, so it's just around the corner, guys. Can people pre-order it?
They can. It's
Okay.
a very beautiful thing to pre-order it. Yes.
Okay. And then if they want to pre-order it, how do they do that?
It's pretty much everywhere. Amazon and any other online retailer should have it. Also, the publisher's website, which is Monkfish, has it
Yeah.
directly. So, however
Oh,
people prefer.
I love that. Okay, and with this book, it challenges the transcendence biases of patriarchal, I can't speak today, spirituality and offers a path of radical integration. So, welcome, welcome. I do want to ask, what inspired you to write that book?
I've been studying the goddess pathways and the sacred texts of yoga and tantra for a long time. I've been a yoga teacher for over 20 years
Oh,
and
wow.
Kundalini awakening for at least that long, if not actually probably closer to 30 years now. And so it's a topic that I have been studying for most of my life. And there was a certain point where I realized I wanted to write it down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is so interesting. Did you have aha moments when you were writing your book?
I had many aha moments. Actually, to be totally honest with you, this is the 15th version of the book. I wrote the book and then I went back and revised and revised. If you're a creative, maybe you've been through this
Yeah.
process. There were so many aha moments because it really started off as a book about not just the goddess, but also spiritual crisis and ways that we can get stuck in our spiritual practice.
Yeah.
And over time, little by little, it needed to emerge. It needed to like the voice that was there needed to keep coming out. And it took many aha moments, I would say, to keep moving the project forward.
I like that because I don't know about you, but I like as soon as I'm done one project, we were talking about this earlier, I have to do another one. Like I get bored, even though my life is so full. It's like I need a side thing, like for the creativity to keep going. Like, I don't know, are you like that? Does that mean something? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm a deep creative as well. I totally understand what you're talking about, but I love the process because it inspires my imagination, and I do
Yeah.
believe that imagination is one of the elements of the goddess. It's a way that we decondition ourselves. I mean, if I'm going to be curious and I'm
Yeah.
going to really do the work on the inside to shake up whatever's rigid in me and whatever patterns in me are stuck, then what better way to do that than to embark on something that's creative? Because that's two things. It's an expression
Yeah.
of my heart, but it's also a way I get to shine the mirror back and question and question and question, what is this? And there's always going to be an activation or a series of activations around a project like this. Like you think that writing a book is one thing, but it's 18 things. And every time you walk through one door, you realize, oh, there's another one, and oh, there's another one. So the mirror that shines back again is just,
Yeah.
it's full of curiosity. Yeah.
I really like that. You know, today I was on your Instagram and I do want to talk about this because I do find the things that you post, they're so deep and it gets you, well, it gets me thinking like, oh, I never thought about that. So you posted this. I'm just going to read a little bit because you posted this December 11, 2025. So just a few weeks ago. And it's the goddess, when she appears to us, often does so in a very particular form. Though she is particular, she is also the totality, and this is understood despite the form she takes when she approaches. For one friend, she arrives in a dream as a series of images, many skulls in a cremation ground. For another, she appears in a deeper dreaming, carrying her head in her hand and a curved knife in another. And yet, for another friend, she arose out of the ocean in a dream bearing the shell. And when my young friend refused the shell, she worried to take from nature. The great mother laughed and produced 10 more.
Yeah.
Here's the truth. I love this because I was reading it and I was just like, what? Like, can you go deeper into it? Because it is so, like, I find your stuff is so profound. And I feel like a lot of stuff on social media may be a little bit lighter, fluffier. And maybe we need that because I know I have days I need the light, fluffy. But today I was like, on yours, I was like, yeah, I need the, let's go deeper.
Well, I follow a lot of comedians also, just so you know. But I speak to a lot of people about the goddess.
Yeah.
I'm always shocked, to be honest, when you're like going around the circle and you're in a new space and people say, oh, this is what I'm interested in, or this is my passion, or this is what I do. When I say I study the goddess, when I say I'm a student of the divine feminine, I study the
Yeah.
sacred texts.
Yeah.
I can't tell you. I usually think that people are just going to be like, okay, whatever, and then move on to the next person. It's almost like the whole room will reorient, and all of a sudden, that's the topic of conversation. And people will start sharing things with me. And sometimes it's a little embarrassed at first because it's like a soccer mom being like, hey, so I've been having these dreams of Mary Magdalene. And
Yeah.
this is how she's showing up to me. And what is that? What does that mean? We're almost a little scared to share if we've never shared it
Yeah.
with anybody before. But
Yeah.
when she's coming to people, and by the way, she is coming to so many people right now, I can barely go into a space. I, somebody in there is sharing with me something fairly fresh that they're
Yeah.
experiencing directly, a way that the
Yeah.
goddess is coming to them personally. I'm a
Yeah.
non-dualist. And so
Yeah.
for me, everything is the divine. But that
Yeah.
doesn't mean that we live in some beige washed reality where everything is a monotone. When the
Yeah.
divine comes in, she doesn't come in, or he, but it's usually a she if it's a dream form or a creative form or a memory or a perception form. A lot of
Yeah.
times it's really this image that's coming in for people now. It's
Yeah.
always very particular. And that friend of mine who shared with me that dream that she had
Yeah.
of the goddess emerging out of the waves, I mean, she was chanting the correct, what's called a bija mantra for that particular goddess. And the way this goddess presented to her in that dream was as traditional as it could be. And this young girl hasn't studied those traditions. So the
Wow.
body of the goddess emerged to her with this shank, with the conch shell. And she said,
Yeah.
it's you need to start blowing this. And
Yeah.
this friend called me and she's like, I don't even know what that is. Do you think I should get one? And I was like, well, what do you think? Do you think you should get one? um, because she felt so embarrassed in her dream to take from nature. She didn't want to take from nature. And so
Yeah.
she was like, oh, I'm gonna, but she doesn't realize the divine is everything. She is nature, right?
Yeah.
You can't take something out of the hole that you are. So
Yeah.
so the goddess kind of teased her with that and came back and said, if you don't take this, if you give it back to the ocean, I'll give you 10 more. And then behind her, and this is what I didn't say in that post, behind her, behind the
Yeah.
goddess, was this like rollicking royal of conch shells, where if she refused one of those 10, it was going to be like this magnifying amount, this magnifying quality coming to her. I just found it so funny that she called me asking me if she should get a conch shell because I was like, I think you should listen to the mother talking to you.
I agree. What I notice is when you don't listen, it gets louder and louder and louder. And then everybody's going to be talking about that experience you had. And you're like, okay, okay, I get it. I get it. I
Yes,
will do it. I promise.
yes, yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
and
find it
she's very
interesting.
particular when she comes to people. I mean, down to the icons she wears. Now,
Yeah.
the things she has in her hands, the color that she is of her skin, red, blue, midnight black, very pale white, luminous, like whatever color she is, whatever she's holding in her hands, um, her outfit, her hair, her tongue.
Yeah.
These are all elements, and each one of them has a history.
Oh, wow. So I'm just curious. This is such a random question because of the way you described all of that. Are you going to be creating oracle cards with those images? Because all of a sudden I'm seeing them and I'm like, oh, that's so cool the way she described it.
Maybe you are. Do you think you're going to be creating oracle cards with these images?
I don't know. I think I'm forever going to be creating because I am that person that gets bored. I'm just naturally, I have to be in the creative juices all the time. But I love being there because it just, I don't know, it like wakes up your soul or something. For me, anyways.
Yeah, I'm with you. I agree to that.
So with divine, because we say that word, what does that mean? Because I know a lot of people, when you hear the word divine feminine, you're immediately I have the image of somebody that's super sexy, that's like weighs 80 pounds, that's super thin. Like what? Because I would assume there's a lot of stereotypes with that word.
Yeah, oh my gosh. Basically, we're superimposing the hypersexualized patriarchal category for the successful female, not for the feminine, by the way, but for the sexed female, which are totally different things,
Yeah,
onto something called the divine feminine. And isn't that a shame that the
yeah,
feminine has been reduced down to being worthy due to her appearance, her sexuality, her ability as reproductive, and sexual.
yeah,
And that's not actually what the divine feminine represents. And even you can look at the goddess figures, they're usually not pretty figures. Usually the
yeah,
goddess is not a pretty figure because the goddess has never really represented only sexuality. She is highly sexual, but she also represents death. Very frequently, she has fangs. She has blood
wow,
coming out of those fangs. I mean, she represents birth and death. And so when you represent birth and death, you're fierce, you're terrifying. And in some of
yeah,
these traditions, she is held with the highest respect as both beautiful and terrifying because life is a circle and
yeah,
experience is the experience of multitude. And the divine feminine represents complexity. She represents the ability to hold opposites. She doesn't just
yeah,
represent the light, she doesn't just represent youthful sexuality, she represents all things. So if you can say one thing about her, she also has to be the opposite. As a matter of
oh,
fact, in the traditions that I study, in the
yeah,
tantric traditions, even the ones that predate non-dual tantric Shaivism, so even in the goddess lineages that predate what's kind of out there now,
yeah,
she's considered approachable only in the cremation ground. And you propitiate her actually by sitting on a corpse and lighting the sacrificial fire in the mouth of the corpse. And
like
when
for
you
real?
for real.
For
And when
real?
you,
Oh, wow.
for real, actually adepts did this, maybe still do. And
Okay.
when you offer the mother flowers, a lot of times in tantric initiation, you offer the mother flowers. In
Yeah.
some texts, that's code. You're offering blood, the blood of either your arm or menstrual blood. And
Oh, wow.
so she is not a sexualized figure historically. This is something that has taken a couple thousand years of hardcore campaigning to suppress what the feminine really is and to reduce her down to an archetype.
Yeah.
Because she's not an archetype, right? She's
Yeah.
the whole. How can you be an archetype if you're the whole, right?
Yeah.
But to reduce her down to only being valuable if she's sexual.
Yeah. Oh, that's fascinating.
But she's
I,
birth and death, she's everything. And so her value is in her ability to move through opposites, to return us to the heart. Because if you can hold opposites at the same time, then you're not in the mind anymore. Now you're in the heart. And that's where she's always leading. She's always leading back to the heart. As a matter of fact, one of her names in some of the tantric texts is Para, which means the
yeah.
highest, very luminous, beautiful goddess form. That one. She's
Yeah.
like this beautiful, deeply kind goddess. But that word also means breath. So her
Oh,
physical body is breath. Breath is her body. And this goes back so far. I mean, some of our earliest myths are of the goddess as breath. Even creation myths, a lot of times creation is described as this mysterious darkness covering the earth. You can't
yeah.
describe it. There's, even the divinities are not there.
Yeah.
And then something, the mystery, breathes forth. So the
Wow.
first act is breath,
Yeah.
and that's described as her. So she's breath. She is the breath, and then the breath takes power. So what happens when breath takes power? It speaks.
Oh, oh, it speaks. You know, when you were talking about like the breath, I'm thinking like a baby being born and taking that first breath into the
Even then,
universe.
what does it do with that breath? It
Yeah, it
speaks.
cries. It
It
speaks.
cries. It
Yeah.
sends vibration forth. So sound vibration is her power. So her power is sound vibration.
Oh, I like that. That
Yeah.
is very cool. So have you had any dreams with her? Now I'm curious.
I actually have had some dreams with her, although I'm a kinesthetic
Yeah.
person, I feel. I don't get a lot of visual or auditory. I don't hear a whole lot. I do sometimes, but it's very rare for me. I had a
Yeah.
very powerful dream of her a few weeks, a couple months ago, actually. Oh, she came in to a dream in the form of shame, and it was fully her. And it's the goddess that has been coming through for me for 20 years. I knew who she was immediately. And when she came
Wow.
in, and she came in as shame, and she put me, um, I'm studying Sanskrit. And
Yeah.
so she started the dream off with me in a Sanskrit classroom, being the best student in the room.
Yeah.
And then being like, it was this whole drama. Like I was chosen for this special position, and then I didn't like it, so I walked away. And then she kind of like, she went from like the carrot to the stick, but she was shamed the entire time. And I spoke to her very clearly, like, I know who you are, and you have
Yeah.
no right to put me in this position.
Yeah.
It was this really very intense dream where I was like, you're the mirror, and I see exactly what you're trying to teach me. And there are
Yeah.
pockets where you need to do your work. I gave her a talking to, but it was really she was the one that was giving me the lesson, of course.
Yeah.
That was a very powerful transmission dream for me on shame because I carry a lot of internalized shame. I'm
Yeah.
I'm probably not the only one on planet Earth. I'm probably along with 99.999% of anybody else who has had an
Yeah.
experience of the body.
Yeah.
So it was one of those gates that I needed to walk through, that she was showing me how to walk through it with confidence and with the ability to carry all the emotions.
Yeah.
How about
You
you? Have you had a dream or an experience of her?
know, I will say in the beginning of my journey, because I was really into goddesses, I had an oracle deck of goddesses, and then one day, I don't know, I used to this deck, this is like over 20 years ago, I would take one of the cards. So I always ask, what is it that I need to know today? And I pull one of the goddess cards and I would just sit with it, and I would notice throughout the day I could feel that goddess walking through me. So if I needed to stand taller, I would feel all of a sudden my shoulders. Or if it was one that was more, I don't even remember the goddesses, but one more free, more about dancing. All of a sudden that day, I felt like I just need to dance. I don't know why I need to dance so much. And then out of the corner of my eye, I would see the goddess. And I'd be like, oh, that's so cool. So I had a
I love
lot
that.
of that happening. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, historically, possession is the way that the goddess comes in. And
Yeah.
possession has never been considered a bad thing
Yeah.
until patriarchal religion came around and turned it into this really actually kind of terrifying idea. But
Yeah.
the body is the body of reality. The heart is the great instrument of life. And so when you feel that she's the one looking out of your eyes and she's the one touching through your skin, it's actually great devotion and great reverence. And so many priestesses in historic records
Yeah.
talk about this. The very first sacred text ever written down, the Enheduanna, about Inanna, these are traditions where the role of the priestess was to sometimes step into ceremoniously the body of
Yeah.
the goddess and take on the body of the goddess. The goddess now comes through her in living
Yeah.
form. And it's natural that this happens because it's a signal that we're breaking down the conditioning, the armoring, the pain that we're carrying. It's a way of actually engaging with the heart and with life. It's beautiful that you had that experience.
I
I
think it's
honor that
really cool.
experience in you.
I like in the beginning, like for my mediumship and connecting to spirit, I could see spirit like I see you, so three-dimensional, and I could feel spirits walk through me all the time. So when I like with my friends, because they had a deck of goddess cards, I was like, "What's that? What do you have?" Because I was in that space of joy and just I want to explore. I don't know this world. I want to know what's out there. So I was in that space through kids' eyes. But I remember having an experience where I could feel a goddess blend so deeply with me that I'm looking up through her eyes in my TV room and I'm just looking around. And then it's like, and then all of a sudden it's like the smells. It's almost like I got transported to another time, but it's so cool. That happened once. It never happened again, but it was so cool when that did happen.
Do
I
you
don't know
remember which
why that
goddess that
happened.
was?
I don't know. I was playing around with a lot of cards and I was just really uh open to that goddess energy and manifesting and just stepping into the feminine because I had gone through like, oh, I don't want to be seen. I was in that space and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I feel really good being seen.
Yeah,
So yeah, I was going through that for a bit.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she plays with those opposites. Don't want to be seen. I'm not good enough. Oh, I am
Yeah.
good enough. And that's what the heart knows how to hold all of these opposites. That's the
I
lesson. That's the lesson of the goddess is we carry opposites. We carry
yeah.
great joy and great grief simultaneously. We can be very, very big and very small. We can be the body of the goddess herself and
Yeah.
individual and ourselves. So
Yeah.
that is one of the great, if we're open to it, if we're really open to listening, that's one of the great lessons, I would say.
I have learned on this journey that if you open your mind to possibilities and just ask and be like, I want to have this experience to be open to it, it happens. It's when you stick yourself in a box with 100 rules. No, it can't happen because so and so said it can't happen. It can't happen. And I'm the opposite. I was like, why couldn't it happen? I read something somewhere. Why couldn't that happen to me? And then it does. So I'm very into that realm of possibilities,
Yeah.
and I love how articulate you are with this and how you explain it, but and it's so grounding because you don't make it sound so woo-woo. You know when it's so woo-woo that it feels like it's way out there and we can't touch it or we can't be a part of it. And I love how you bring it together for us in our daily lives.
I mean, where else are we going? Where else are we going to experience the divine? Serious, like I'm in a body. I'm a
Yeah,
mother. It was when I became a mother. It was when I birthed this baby that
yeah,
I was holding my daughter and I was enraged with masculine spirituality because I've been studying these transcendent models my
yeah,
entire life and having transcendent experiences and going into these states and whatever that is. And all of these experiences really teach you how to come up and out of form, that these technologies are dialed in. There are technologies across the world that'll teach
yeah,
you how to go up and out of your body. But how
yeah,
many technologies are there left on Earth today that teach you how to come back into form? And then when it happens, when you go off and you have a transcendent experience and you
yeah,
do come back into form, it feels like I call it the transcendence hangover.
yeah,
It feels like a hangover. It
yeah,
feels like, oh my God, everything here is a mess. I have one friend who had a really intense transcendent experience and it was this beautiful day outside. And she was
yeah,
like, just looking around here after that, I feel like this is just a cesspool.
yeah,
And I was like, that's a transcendence hangover. Because we haven't been taught that the act of the goddess is in limitation, binding, and forming. And so it's in the role of the mother, it's in the role of the householder, doing the laundry, doing the dishes. It's in the most ordinary of our experiences that
yeah,
we have to integrate her. If you're not going to have the experience in your body, where are you having it? Where are you having it? And where have you cut yourself off? Because this can't be out there in some special and extraordinary state.
yeah,
That's spiritual arrogance. It really is to say there is something called enlightenment that you can achieve.
yeah,
Because if there's such thing as enlightenment, guess what? There's such thing as not enlightened. That's what you just did. You just created a not enlightened. And now you've made some special state that you can achieve or not achieve. But guess what? I achieved it, so I'm special. And let me tell you how to achieve it, right? Like that,
yeah,
that the goddess needs to come back into spirituality to counter all of these misunderstandings and these pitfalls of spirituality. She has
yeah,
to be in the day to day. It has to be in the, oh gosh, I'm like working on this thing and it's like, oh, one of the variations of this book, the moment I finished it, there's this great spiritual teacher. And the
yeah.
way that I envisioned the book, there it was. He published it down to the person I wanted on the front cover at the top. Like, you think you're doing this thing, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God, they just wrote the book that I just wrote. And it's published and it's out there. And they have and okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's do it again. Let's do another turn of the wheel. And that's
Wow.
beautiful. It's
Yeah.
not this lofty thing. It's a beautiful coming back and scraping your nose against the bottom of the wheel.
Yeah. Oh, that's so fascinating. So so I was just looking on your website and you have like one of your signature topics is curiosity and reverence on the spiritual path. So can you speak to that?
Yeah. Those are the two words I use to describe the goddess and the divine feminine. If
Yeah.
you're going to use the most basic words in the English language, because don't forget, we have so erased what the divine feminine represents that we don't even have language anymore to describe her. We have these
Yeah.
weird, vague patriarchal images in our head, like the sexy girl with the boobs and like,
It's
light,
true.
like rainbows and light, right? Like, you know, that's not. So curiosity is a
Yeah.
word, reverence is a word that
Yeah.
describes who she is and what she is. Because curiosity dismantles our conditioning. Curiosity dismantles the ways that we've bound ourselves. When you named it
Yeah.
yourself. When you're talking to people who are entering into mediumship, what is the
Yeah.
thing that shuts people off? Oh, that
Oh,
can't
it's
be
judgment.
possible. That
It's
can't be.
judgment.
Yeah, it's
It's
judgment.
fear.
It's fear. And now, where is that fear coming from? Because our traditions and our parents and our cultures and our societies have spent hundreds, if not sometimes thousands of years telling young children, sit down, don't ask questions, toe the line. If you have an extraordinary or mystical experience, don't you dare talk about it, because if you talk about it, you're
Hmm.
going to be exiled, potentially killed. Your parents won't love you anymore.
Yeah.
Your society won't love you anymore. Your religious tradition won't love you anymore, right? And we, as Hafiz said, humans, what we're looking for is love. There's this beautiful little mini poem of Hafiz, and he writes, isn't it true that everyone you meet, what you're asking of them is, do you love me? Right? And
Oh,
there's
wow.
this way that curiosity is a pulsation. Curiosity is pulsation. And
Yeah.
when we lose our curiosity, we get rigid. We get rigid, we get controlled, we step inside the line, and we refuse to come outside of the line. And
Yeah.
curiosity is the first and greatest tool we have to look at that line and look at that
Yeah.
conditioning inside of ourselves and say, what are you? What are you trying to tell me? What's that voice? Can I even hear the voice? Are there like too many layers here? Like, I have some voices in me, by the way, that took so long, so much curiosity to figure out what it really said. And it usually said something really simple. I have like two main ones, right? One, you're not good enough.
Yeah.
Two, you're too much. Don't be you. These are like the two core, I would say for most of the women I know, these two are kind of doozies, right?
Yes.
Like, so curiosity is the great tool we have to peel open those conditionings, the pain bodies that we've built around ourselves, and it deconditions us. And when we're deconditioned, what do? We get creative. We get
Yeah.
to actually live a different way.
I like how you explained the curiosity, but for those of you that are listening to this on the podcast, you actually had your hands in a certain position, then you're trying to stretch it out. But I like that because isn't that daily life? Like we're asking questions and we're always pushing the boundaries and just planting the seed to, like, I'm not trying to change your mind, but have you ever thought of this? And then there's that permission to think outside the box. I don't know what you call it, but
Yeah, permission to get curious. A lot of people talk about triggers, and we
yeah,
talked very briefly already before about traumas,
yeah,
which are really right. It's a trigger. There's a imprint in the system. There's a pain there. There's an
yeah,
armoring there. There's a way that the heart has said, ah, I'm going to protect myself. This isn't going to happen again. And the heart builds up an armor. I don't call them triggers. And I
yeah,
talk about why a lot, especially in my book, because a trigger is more language that I think isn't helping us. A trigger always belongs to a weapon, first of all.
yeah,
Second of all, a trigger, once the trigger has been activated, once it's been pulled, you can't stop it. It usually is like an arrow or a bullet, right? It's going and you can't stop the bullet. But if you call it an activation, if you say, I have an activation right now, all of a sudden you have agency. All of a sudden you can slow the activation down. You can apply curiosity to it. You can say, what are you really? What is
Yeah.
this really? What are you trying to tell me really? And you can now all of a sudden take this activation, which is what it really is, and begin to trace it backwards, and then the core patterns can start to show up. Where is it that I've made certain agreements? Where is it that I can unmake certain agreements? Where is it that I can digest or chew on? And that develops compassion for ourselves and for each other. We stop judging each other when we stop judging ourselves.
Yeah. I think compassion for ourselves is so important because we are the hardest ones on ourselves. We are the judgiest. Everybody would be like, oh, you did fantastic. No, I didn't. No, I could have done this. I could have done X, Y, Z. I find we're always the hardest on ourselves.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
like that you brought that up for compassion. Okay, so here you also talk about why returning to the body matters.
Again, I think that that is the process of the goddess. I'll tell you the frame story that I
Yeah,
follow based on tantric non-duality.
yeah,
Here's the frame story. God, in some traditions called Shiva, in other traditions there's different names, is a transcendent reality.
yeah,
Totally blemishless. You can't cut it, you can't wet it, you can't burn it. It's transcendence itself. It's absolute purity, it's absolute
yeah,
infinity, it's absolute stillness. It's the ground of being.
yeah,
And that ground of being is who we are. Now, in these traditions, the model goes that the goddess, the divine feminine, is so in love with infinity, with her beloved, with this God, with God,
yeah,
that she creates herself out of him. So she's the same thing as him. She is transcendence, but she
yeah,
creates herself out of him and then she emerges out of him. And then she turns toward him and she gives him the one thing that he doesn't have because she loves him so much that she wants to give him something. She wants to give him the one thing that he can't do. He cannot limit or bind himself. He's infinity. He's infinity. He can't be divided. He can't be
yeah,
cut. He can't be boundaried. He can't be limited. He can't have an edge. He can't have hair. He can't have skin. He can't be a Cynthia. He can't be a Maria, right? Like, that's not right. Like, and so
yeah,
what does she do? She creates limitation, boundary, and form. And so her greatest empowerment is the condensing from the transcendent into the limited and the ordinary. So being a small individual, being limited, being bounded is
yeah,
considered her greatest freedom because it is logically impossible. If you think about infinity for like 1 second, you realize
yes,
that this life that we're living is logically impossible.
yeah,
But yet here we are. And so this is the playground of the goddess because that's what she is. She's playing. She's playing limitation, boundary, and form. And the more limited and the more bounded and the smaller she gets, the more impossible she gets and the more powerful she gets. And
yeah,
so that's why I say having form, having body is so powerful because here we are expressing our infinite beingness in this wildly impossible dance of absolute reverence. Meanwhile, we're constantly pulsating this dance back to infinity. And we are the dance itself, and we are the dancer itself, and we are also the infinite itself. And all we're here to do is to remember that. That's it. Just to remember that the heart is pulsation and
yeah.
stillness at the same time simultaneously, and not to take preference over one or the other. Because here we are going, yeah, but isn't it more better to go get enlightened? Right?
Do you know what I just thought? My head started to hurt. As you were saying that, I could feel how expansive it was. And it's like, oh my God, it just goes on forever. But
Yeah.
then to come back into your body and go out and come back. And then I started thinking, isn't that what we want? We want like that flow.
Yeah. Yeah, the
Like,
ability to play the musical instrument entirely. I mean, I don't want to go into a symphony and see an entire like 80-piece orchestra and then sit there and then like only hear a flute for two. Do you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
we want to play with the full, I mean, sometimes you do. Sometimes you just want to play the flute. That's fine too. But what I mean to
yeah,
say is like we're here in form to experience form. And the
yeah,
moment we say that's not sacred is the moment we just created more boundary and illusion
yeah,
because everything is made out of the body of the infinite. And we're the ones creating the separation. Nobody out there is creating the separation. The guy
yeah.
drives down the street and cuts me off and gives me the finger and marries on his happy little way. And meanwhile, I come home enraged that somebody cut me off 30 minutes ago. That's a me problem. That's not a him problem. That's a me
Yeah.
problem, right? So nobody
Yeah.
out there is limiting us. Nobody's doing it to us.
Yeah. It's a reaction to it.
Yeah, we're doing it to ourselves. And so now, can we apply curiosity and reverence? Reverence
Yeah.
to fall in love with, reverence
Yeah.
to be like, oh, that could be sacred too, but let me see why and how. Let me see why and how. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean life gets easier either, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't
Yeah.
mean that you like have some great, I used to be under the impression, Maria, that like I could achieve some state of spiritual bliss where like my life would maybe become perfect.
Easy.
Yeah, easy. Like no more lessons would happen. I would just kind of like, coast, things would be easy.
Oh, I remember those days. I used to think that. And then I find as we grow and evolve, we get more challenges. But when I look back, I wouldn't trade it for the world.
No, me neither. Me neither.
Yeah, it's like because you learn so much from it. So I am curious. So for people that are like listening to this conversation and they're brand new and they're like, huh, Cynthia's like, she's thinking outside the box. That's really interesting. How do people start? Because I feel like we all start in a box with all these ideas of I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't. So, how do you get people to, or what do you recommend people do that step one? First of all, get your book. Definitely get your
I do
book.
have practice sessions in my book that will
Okay.
hopefully start from the most basic. Like I said, I'm a
Okay.
yoga teacher, yoga
Okay.
therapist, and so I always start with the breath. Because to me, the breath, you don't really need to go much further than that. That's the body of the goddess. You can stay with the breath, beginning, middle, and end, and that's the whole practice. Because the
Yeah.
breath is the map of reality. It's expand, contract, pause, expand, contract, pause. And we keep going back again and again to the breath. And the breath
Yeah.
is everything is there in the breath. It is
Yeah.
the prayer, the ceaseless prayer. It's the body of being. And from the breath, you can also do chanting. Chanting is my primary practice. I
Yeah.
have come to, I'm not even going to say appreciate chanting. I have come to love chanting with every fiber of my being. I wrap my body in mantra, and I do
Yeah.
believe that there are sounds that resonate. I think that we live basically in the Middle Ages in our medicine right now, and someday sound vibration is going to be understood better to treat the physical, emotional body. Sound vibration to me is extraordinarily powerful. And so that's something that I teach as well. And it can be so simple, sound vibration.
I love sound vibration. It's like, oh, anytime I hear somebody's doing, it's like, can I get tickets? Can I go? And I used to see an energy healer and he would do sound all the time. there's just something powerful about sound and healing, I find for myself.
Me too. There are ways that I couldn't access my nervous system without sound because I have so much actually prenatal and perinatal trauma. And so I didn't have a reference point in my body to heal my nervous system. And there were certain sound vibrations that did begin to address those very deep, subtle layers. I don't think we need complicated theories and practices. I happen to love them because I love the sacred texts and I love stories,
Yeah.
but we don't need them. What we need is the breath
Yeah.
and what the breath has to offer us, which is sound vibration. And hopefully that unlocks our curiosity, and our curiosity can then be applied. But we need friends, don't we? Like,
Yeah.
we need friends. We need people that are like, hey, you have messages coming to you from your friends, right? Like, hey,
Yeah.
you have layers of friends. You can go talk to a friend about this. We need community to feed back our curiosity to us. It really can be that simple, the practice.
Yeah. I like that. I like the friends thing because it's just, you need to share and for people to feel safe to say, hey, I had this experience. And even if we didn't have the experience, to honor and acknowledge, because I think that's half the thing.
Yes.
Because when you share an experience, someone's like, yeah, I don't know about you. I don't know if I believe you. Then we shut down again.
Yeah, exactly. And I think
Yeah.
that men and women both need to share, because who has the patriarchy hurt? It hasn't just hurt women. The
Yeah.
patriarchy has hurt men just as much as it's hurt women. The patriarchy has very little to do with the masculine. In fact, the patriarchy is more of an energy of dominance. It's not
Yeah.
an energy of masculine versus feminine. So, men, women sitting around sharing stories. And, when I hear an extraordinary story or share an extraordinary story, when I hear a
Yeah.
story of grief, when I hear somebody else's perspective of sex and sexuality, of race, of gender, of when I start to hear people's individual stories, it allows me to be a human and it allows them to be a human, and that creates lateralization. We're now
Yeah.
we're now on equal playing field. You're now a human, I'm now a human, right? Like that right there is the deconditioning. We've just taken the skyscraper,
Yeah.
the most important person's at top, and they're the only person that gets to share their story. That's the CEO. And they shout
Yeah.
it from the top to like
Yeah.
coming down all the way to ground level, sitting on the ground in a circle. You tell your story, I tell my story. We all tell each other's stories. We don't need to shout them. In fact, if
Yeah.
we want to whisper them, we can whisper them because we're all right there on the same level with each other. That's the difference between the vertical and the horizontal. The
Yeah.
vertical is the patriarchal and the horizontal is the divine.
I like that. I find we're all equal and everybody's story is just as valuable as the next person. One story is not better than another. I find there's a lot of judgment in stories too, and in storytelling, it's like, oh wow, you had that experience and you only had this experience. Like every experience is valuable.
Yeah,
I think the fact that we wake up in the morning and take a deep breath is a miracle right there.
I agree
We
with
all
you.
do that tomorrow. We're already winning.
I agree with you. I one of the things I do is lead yoga teacher trainings, and they're always trauma informed teacher trainings. We're starting one actually in a couple of days, a trauma informed teacher training. And
Okay.
it's very important when you are in a trauma informed space not to comment on somebody else's story or emotional response. Now, if somebody is crying, we want to rush in and help that person or give them a solution, but that's not for them. That's for us. That's like, I'm uncomfortable with you crying, so now I'm going to judge you or give you a solution. But there's very powerful work that happens when you sit in full presence with somebody, when they share a story or an emotion without commenting on it. And that you're not removing yourself from presence, you are allowing the totality of your presence to meet the moment without needing to fuss or change or manipulate the moment. And this is something we teach because it's part of going through that process. It's extremely important. So I would even say storytelling without the need to judge, criticize, manipulate, or change, that's a very important element to the storytelling.
Yeah. I find we're fixers. We want to fix everybody. As a mom, I just want to fix you. I want to put a band-aid on it. I want to kiss the boo-boo. But like what you're saying, it is so powerful because even for my own experiences, when I'm sharing a story with certain people, and if it's like an intense story, I just want you to listen. I don't want you to try and fix it. I don't want you to problem solve it. I just want to be heard,
Right. Because on
right?
some level, if you're trying to fix me, you've just made it about you,
Oh, interesting.
right?
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
we're uncomfortable. We're
Because
uncomfortable with
now I
sad.
have to tend to your discomfort,
Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, it's extremely important. And I've had the experience too, where I just want to share something, and the most powerful listeners are the ones that can be totally present without needing to change or fix the situation. Just being there in presence.
I feel like that's a training in itself.
It takes training. It does take training. Yes, it does.
Yes, we have to train ourselves for that. So, here too, because you have other topics. So, finding the reverence in ordinary. So, how do we find the reverence in ordinary? I know you touched a little bit throughout that topic throughout our talk, or is there anything else you want to add to that?
It's a reframe around spirituality,
Yeah,
where the spirituality isn't designated inside a tiny little box to a sacred experience, usually a sacred experience of like leaving the body or leaving this
yeah,
realm. And then all of a sudden, you've just created an opposite where coming into it is like the opposite of sacred.
yeah,
Either it's boring and mundane, or it's actively difficult. It's a challenge, it's frustrating. And so, reframing coming into embodiment as an act of divinity over and over and over again, that's it. It takes, it's like what we just said, it takes time, it takes training. And the
yeah,
best way to train ourselves is curiosity. Just apply curiosity. Notice what you notice. That's what I say. I say it over and over again. Notice what you notice. Notice what you notice, because notice what you notice will change your life. It'll open the doors to reverence. And then reverence to me is the highest way to live a life. The
yeah,
highest way to live a life is to look at a thing and to honor the sacredness of it. You might not like it. You might not like it, but you can honor the sacredness of it.
I
And it
like
takes
that.
deep work to do that, right?
Yeah,
You can just like 1 second mentally scan what's out there, right?
yeah,
We're not asking a small thing of people. It's a
yeah.
very big reorientation. But it's not
So
turn away from it. It's not don't look. It's
yeah.
notice what you notice. Notice what you notice. And that creates
Yeah.
reverence. But don't we have the right to live a life full of reverence?
Oh, I agree. And I like how you say that, notice what you notice, because so many times we notice things and then we talk ourselves out of what we noticed. And it's like,
That's
don't
true.
do that. Just be present.
Yeah, especially as a medium, I'm sure that you see that a lot. Yeah. The
I think just as a
talking,
regular
maybe
person,
maybe as a human, yeah.
just
But
as a
like
human,
talking ourselves out of things, right? Where
where you notice things and it's like, yeah, no, I don't think so. And it's like, yeah, like notice what you notice. And I think too, being open to compliments, because we always shy away from that when
Hmm,
people say things. And just I love the walking with reference is like that's so sacred. And that's us. And we forget we are sacred.
yeah,
We so forget that.
yeah. If somebody gives you a compliment, what would it be like to just say, thank you?
Yes.
Just that. Don't need to go further, don't need to explain it. Oh, well, because of this. No, just thank you. Like, just that, you know?
I think that's so important because in the beginning, I know even my journey in the beginning, if I got a compliment, I was like, oh, it didn't take, like, I always put it down. I was like, no, you know what? That was so easy. I just threw it together. Meanwhile, it probably took me 6 hours to do it, but I don't want to admit it took me 6 hours. So when I get a compliment, it's like, no, no, no. And I don't know. So I find it interesting. Now I don't do that. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
And, but I think too, it takes time. It takes time, right?
Yes.
To
And you
get
know
to
what
that
really
point.
takes time is when somebody gives you a criticism to say thank you.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I'm there yet.
You see what I'm saying? Like, now you might
That's
agree with
hard.
it or disagree with it. And there are times that I'm very righteously in disagreement with a thing that comes
Yeah.
at me that's negative,
Yeah.
right? But something in me can still be like, hmm, I'm curious about this, right? And if
Yes.
something's being met in the moment, to
Yeah.
meet the moment in an act of like, I'm curious about this. I'm
Yeah.
curious about this. There is a very slight, maybe thank you is has too much of a flavor to it of
Yeah.
like, right? Of welcoming it, bringing it in. Although
Yeah.
some teachers do teach welcoming as the word, but for me,
Yeah.
it's more curiosity. Can I be curious in this? But yeah, like sometimes I get projected on a lot as a trainer, especially in trauma-informed teacher trainings.
Yeah.
And it's not such a big thing to take a compliment, but it's a very big thing to take somebody's major projection,
Yeah.
especially when you see that it as a trauma response and it's cutting, right? It's like
Yeah.
there it is, right? Yeah, it
I
takes.
don't think I've had that experience. Like I've had some challenging things. I think too, it depends what mood I'm in that day. To
Yeah.
be quite honest, if I have energy for it, be like, oh, okay. And then I notice it. And then I just kind of like, okay, whatever. And then I go about my day. But I think it depends what mood I'm in.
Hmm.
Because I
Yeah.
think that would affect us, no?
Well, we should have boundaries.
Yeah.
Boundaries are saying yes to the heart.
Yeah.
So now you might say what you have to say, and then I might say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Right? No, thank you.
I
No,
find no
thank
is a
you.
complete sentence. I love the word no. I know some people don't like it, but I think just saying no, thank you, and not having to
Why wouldn't
explain
you like it? What are you
anything.
gonna do? Like, I have kids. Your kid's gonna pick up sand and throw it at a stranger's face at the beach, and you're gonna be like, oh, honey, maybe this isn't a good time. No, you say no.
Yes.
No, no, thank
No
you.
is a good word.
No
Yes.
is a good word.
It is. I
Yeah.
want to say thank you so much for spending this time with us. Can you show us your book again? And do you have any upcoming events coming up that we can share with our audience that's listening or watching this video?
I have many events coming up. I have a workshop in Berkeley in California at the end of January, so January 23rd and 24th. I have an
Okay.
online, I'm speaking in an online festival on which is free. That's on January 11th called the Awakening Her Festival. I am
Okay.
also leading a workshop in Santa Barbara at Yoga Soup, which is the yoga studio where I teach, February 15th. And I have other engagements as well. So there's plenty of ways in person as well as online to engage with what I'm teaching about. And it really is my great joy and privilege to be talking about these things and speaking through the voice of the goddess when she so wishes it. And here I
Yeah.
am for her, happy to do it. So it's a great privilege and a delight to be in that space and happy to engage with people.
Thank you. And I will have all of her social media links up and also her website. So just go on over to her website and see all of her information. Email her if you have any questions. I want to say thank you so much for your time, Cynthia. It was so nice meeting you.
It was so
And I
nice
am
meeting you too.
so in the divine energy right now. It's lots of fun to be in this energy. So thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Maria.
Okay, goodbye, everybody.
Bye bye.